Hello and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Rhys McKee. And we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, Rhys. It's been a busy couple of months for you without even throwing punches or kicks or anything like that outside the cage. And we're going to get into it. First of all, I would like to say a massive congratulations because you got married recently to your lovely wife, Rebecca. Congratulations. How was that?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, it was all in the plans in secret in the time of Belfast and June and stuff. So it's been hard keeping a big secret because I'm a guy that tells everybody everything. So it's nice. Like it's obviously fantastic to be married and stuff like that, of course. But it's nice to also not have a secret looming over you all the time. So uh,
Sure, sure. Yeah, I get you. I get you. It was like over in Vegas. You got married, and over in the stateside. Was it a great experience? Was it just you two? Was there family over there, or?
yeah, us too. And then we brought a few close friends. Like we love Vegas. We've been there a good few times on holidays and stuff. And we always had the idea that we would get married there, but we jabbed at it. And then we were really talking about getting married. We couldn't find anywhere we kind of liked, so Vegas worked out, and we got it done now. So
Nice, nice. And the honeymoon was in the States afterwards as well. Did you get up to much?
well, we were in America last week for a friend's wedding. But I'm trying to get another trip out of it and call that honeymoon. So
Absolutely, you're doing the right thing.
we have a no official honeymoon yet, but we'll call it a mini moon, I suppose. But I had a good friend get married, so we went over to South Carolina for his.
Nice, nice. Where's the honeymoon destination of choice, Reese?
I want to go to Bali. That's where I want to go to.
Very nice spot. Love it.
I want to get things cleared up. So it would probably have to be after a fight. So I could have 3 weeks as way, try and get as long as away as I can. As I can.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, um, yeah, we'll get into maybe a little bit of fights. There's a couple of things. Like I said, you're pretty busy. The gym, stealth gym, that's correct. That's correct, is it? That's up and going. It's flying it now. The full team of four there. How's it going? How has that been kind of the experience of trying to get it up and off the ground and balancing everything in between?
Yeah, well, we've been open now for 3 years. So by this stage, our feet's well on the ground. But like, it's nice to Stealth is a gym that's away from MMA and stuff, so it's nice till it's a very different circuit. It's a very different avenue. But yeah, like good people involved. Good people there when I'm not there and stuff. So it's just a nice place to be, and it's a nice place to call work, I suppose too.
For sure, yeah, and that's like just kind of personal fitness and wellness and stuff like that. It's not really attached to any fight stuff, is it?
No, no, not attached to any fighting. Although we do boxing as well, but it's kind of not the bread and butter of what Stealth is. So, yeah, it's good. It's a good place.
It must be nice for you to kind of, be able to maybe escape from there to kind of concentrate on other people. Obviously you've helping out other fighters and sparring and helping other fighters prepare for fights to kind of get over there to stealth, do a bit of personal training and see other people grow and kind of give you maybe a little bit of escape from your fight world, really.
Absolutely, like I couldn't have said it better myself. It's sometimes like you're in the midst of a fight camp, and maybe you've had a bad day and stuff, and then you go in there and you help someone with something they're struggling with, and it's a nice feeling. So yeah, it's definitely a good yin to yang balance of life, and I find it's a big part of my success with the fights is when I have stuff also going on.
100%, 100%. Another thing that you had going on recently was the Fight Project. That kind of promotion kind of got kicked off a couple of weeks back. On top of balancing everything else, weddings, personal training, your own fight game. Now you're turning into a promoter as well, which is great.
Yeah,
It's always great to see these new kind of promotions and organizations picking up and putting fights on. How was that experience, and how did kind of the Fight Project kind of come to fruition?
yeah. So it's like we always have done the fight project as a boxing show. Like people train for 8 weeks, then fight at the end, and that's fantastic. But this time we wanted to go a step further and bring MMA in. And we done it. It was fantastic. It was a massive production. If I'm being totally transparent, probably a lot more work into organizing a show of that standard went into it. A lot more finances went into it. So it was a higher pressure situation than I expected. But like we done it. We had an amazing time, a great success, and fantastic fights. So yeah, it was nice to dip my toe in there into the promotion side of things. However, I probably put it slightly on the back burner more because I know I'm due to have a busy next year. So I'm not sure what we'll do next year in terms of shows.
Yeah, indeed. Is it something that you fully took charge of, or is there someone that you're doing a bit of work with? So, like you said, you're going to put it on the back burner. Obviously, you need to focus on yourself as well. It's like, it, were you surprised a little bit with maybe the amount of organization and kind of getting together it is for a show? Because we've talked to a few promotions, and we all understand. We spoke about it a couple of times on the L Triangle, the difficulties of getting a promotion up and going and organize it and matching fights and stuff like that. Did you find it maybe a little bit too much for this period of your life, perhaps?
Not so like not the time of my life, but if I was in the middle of a fight camp, it would have been hectic. Obviously I had Decky helping me, and Decky done the fight card and stuff. He done the matchmaking, which was by far probably the most troublesome part. But it's hard to get stuff moving. It's hard to get stuff organized. But yeah, like I mean, again, it did shock me, and but because I was free in that time of my life, I was 100% energy into it. I'm dealing with an injury, which it was a good storm for that. So, you know, I always need my mind in something, and I've learned that as I like as I'm growing through my years, I like to have a focus all the time, and that was just the focus for that bit of time, and now the focus is on another thing, and then another thing, and so on.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. And Decky is a good man to put a couple of matches together, and he did a good job on that card as well.
Good.
And in delight, hopefully, look, I understand it gets busy. Hopefully, we see another couple of cards perhaps next year in the fight project. It's always great to see new promotions. I guess the last time we were talking to each other, Rhys, was ahead of your Cage Warriors Belfast fight, where you beat Justin Burlinson. You captured the undisputed welterweight championship. Um, how was that experience? I had the chance to kind of talk about that fight and that whole experience for you. We talked about it before it, but it must have been crazy. The fight was insane. It was unbelievable. Like the whole place was buzzing inside the arena, and we were buzzing talking about it for a couple of weeks after as well. It was just a crazy scene altogether. How was it for you, a guy who was stuck right into the middle of it?
Yeah, you know what? It was dreamy. It was exactly as we had then conversations about the show, how it would feel, how it would look, sounds, everything. It was exactly what I needed it and wanted it to be. The fight, played its part massively in it. Probably didn't ideally take as much damage as I did. However, it showed that side of my game is even better than I expected it to be. It was fantastic, unbelievable, and to get the finish the way we done it, like that's probably, I was talking to one of Justin's good friends or coaches the other day, and he was saying how, Justin was saying he learned a lot from the fight, and like the amount of stuff I've learned from the fight and the process, and it's just been like incredible. It's just such a journey, like of everything into one night.
Yeah, what would be some of those lessons? Like, I mean, if I may, I know that you've got tons of heart. You've showed that before, but for me watching that fight, I felt that you kind of had to go and dig a little bit deeper that night and ask a couple of questions of yourselves of yourself. But both you and Justin did, and luckily enough, you found the answer in the end. Like, what kind of were the major lessons that you took from a fight like that?
Like, I mean, I remember there was two stages in the fight, one at the end of the first and one in the second. And I remember having like this not a conversation with myself where we'll talk about the first one with the ground and pound at the end. I remember knowing that I tried this gate twice and I had one more attempt just before I knew the ref would stop it. So I remember having that feeling of like this is like do or die in terms of the fight. Like if you don't get out now, it's over. And like, although fighting moves fast, you have these moments of like calm and like where you can really understand something. And I really understood that if I didn't get out there and then, that the fight was over. Um, and then in the second round, like Justin was going for heel hooks and stuff like that. And like I wasn't even thinking about tapping because there was no like the submission was never on or anything like that. But I remember thinking that if you want it your way out, here it is. Like if that makes sense. Like it was
Yeah,
a very available option to like just leave the
yeah.
fight, done with this fight. But like I just that inner dog in me, that like the attitude shift I had. I actually like remember saying to myself, I'll not say what I said to myself, here, but like I was like X-rated, and it was like, no, let's get stuck into this fight. And I remember just hammering big shots, and it's just funny them little conversations I had with myself, and just like even in the corner, like coming out and seeing the franticness of the crowd, hearing the crowd, and but I was like the calmest and most serenity version of myself ever. I just knew I'd win that round. I remember me and Justin got up at the end of the first, and I said that's one round down, but in my mind it was like, you're gonna have to do that again and again and again, but I'm still gonna be here. And I think for me that was a big shift in the fight.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, there was a turning point where that first round too. I have to agree. It was so close, and you pulled it out. It was just like a battle of wills, and you certainly came out on top. And unfortunately for Justin, he kind of fell and got knocked out. Like, I think it was the crowd. Would you think that they played a much of a part in kind of getting you? Like, do you think if that fight happened maybe in London or somewhere else and you didn't have that crowd behind your back, do you think you'd be able to kind of make those decisions to continue on?
Well, this is what I've learned about myself. Like, I do believe I would. Like, I believe if someone done that to me outside my house, I'd be able to find the same inner dog and do the same. It's the crowd were fantastic. Of course, it's Belfast. It's home crowd. There was times in the fight I moved from a worse position to an even worse position, and they cheered, and I was like, oh, like,
That's hilarious.
I was like, I'm in trouble. Like, there's one time I moved from a half guard position to be full mounted, where I end up getting cut, and everybody cheered, and I remember like laughing to myself, being like, "Oh, this is so bad."
That's hilarious.
No, I think the inner, like, me and like coaches have talked about over time. Donard, the boxing coach and stuff at the time, he we always talk about that inner dog, and like, there's fighters, and then there's fighters, and it's like if you're not the second, the ladder, the fighter, then it's just different gravy. It's like it's just something missing, and not everybody has it. And not everybody like is willing to go to the same trenches. Like, it's just so true. And those who know, and those who don't just will always be confused by that statement.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, indeed. I feel, it was just a phenomenal performance. It kind of capped off a perfect kind of an event overall. Did the shoulder injury happen during that fight, Reese, or was it something that happened after the fight?
No, so I couldn't spar for like 8 weeks, probably 6 to 8 weeks after. I was wearing a headgear and sparring like 50%. It was very frustrating, like so frustrating, because I just wanted to spar and get stuck in. Because in my mind, the New Year's Eve card was my defense. And then so the first sparring session, I was going with everyone, doing loads of rounds. Like people will tell you if they've trained with me, I do a lot of rounds. And it was in the very last round. Norman was there. This was our first day without headgear, and I get in a body lock position, and he got like a hip toss off it. I can't really remember, but like his weight landed on my shoulder, and the whole thing just went kapoosh. So no, it was after the fight, and it was my first proper spar back. And then that happened. So that's been now maybe the last 9 or 10 weeks. I'm not sure the exact timing.
That's crazy that you just were in an absolute crazy fight and then you come, look, not unscathed, but then you pick up a serious injury
Oh,
after that.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, it'd be much cooler if I could tell you that it happened in the fight, but
Yeah, I know, right? In the aftermath of a fat fight like that, Reese, I mean, look, you took a hell of a lot of damage. Um, what's the recovery like for you? And you know, do you enjoy being in fights like that, or would you prefer to have a much cleaner performance? Well, like, obviously, you said you learn lessons by being in the trenches per se, but if you were to choose, obviously, I would assume you'd prefer maybe cleaner performances and less damage.
yeah, I remember. I remember a few months ago, I said to one of our teammates got cut in a fight, and I said like, "Oh, I must have really thick skin because I can't get cut." And then, then the next fight, I get 29 stitches, and
Oh my goodness.
just after it's not, it is what it is. Like, I'm not one of these fighters that'll sit here and say I love being bloody, I love being damaged. I don't. I much more enjoy when I'm the hammer than the nail. However, it is part of the game. I do understand that. I've no issues with what happened if it needs to happen to get the win. I really don't care. However, like, it's changed my perspective of things, and like maybe my fighting style. I would definitely like stuff to be cleaner, which, even though I'm one-armed, I've been working on stuff as well. So, yeah, like you can be like I'm 20, 27, 27, 20, yeah, 27. I always forget my age. I don't want to be having these fights all the time. So yeah, like I, I'm prepared to do it, but it's not my first choice.
Absolutely. No, that's completely understandable. After that fight, you were speaking, you had said that, you'd kind of completed Cage Warriors. You had nothing else to prove there. Is that your mindset right now?
Yeah, like I mean, I completed it when I beat Hack and Foss. Like yeah, like I mean, I have 5 wins with Cage Warriors. Every one of my pro wins have been a finish. I don't believe the guys there challenge me, and that's a statement I believe in. They definitely challenge me. I just don't think they beat me. Um, you know, so yeah, it's a statement I stand by. However, it's not all one sided, and just because maybe you've completed something doesn't mean that story's always over, and which maybe might be where we're at right now. All depending on the UFC roster size and the moving parts of that. Like maybe it's just not always going to be ideal to go there straight away. So yeah, I do believe I've completed it, but I do think I might still have a bit of work to do.
Yeah, indeed. And we might get into that little bit of work again. Just about your mindset towards the UFC. It's still for you tunnel vision. That's where you want to be. You're not getting your head turned. We have PFL coming in, we have Bellator putting on cards. You're not getting your head turned by any other organizations. You still want the UFC.
I like I can't go into this one in detail, but like we've got a serious offer from people, we'll say, from places, and like it's just been they've got the same responses I've gave for the last 5 years of my pro career. I'm still going to the UFC, and until that changes, I don't believe you'll see me fighting any other gloves. If it's not the yellow gloves, it's the black gloves. If and that's it for now. It's really simple. My mindset. At times when you're sitting with 29 stitches, you can question your methodology of where you want to go, and sometimes it doesn't seem the most beneficial. And you could definitely go get paid a lot more money, but we all have these visions and we need to stick to them. And I've always been very set on what I want to do, and it's nice to know these offers are still there, but they'll always be there. Like once I go back to the UFC, have a fantastic run, a fantastic career there. If I want to go cash in on these big paydays, and then I can do that.
And after that fight, obviously you stated that you wanted to go there. Has there been any discussions at all with the UFC, with your management or with yourself? Like what's the current status? Have they given you a message saying, we want one more fight, or we're just waiting to kind of release a few guys maybe before we bring anyone into the roster? What kind of have the conversations been like with the UFC, if there have been any at all?
Yeah, we've had very open conversations with the UFC. Like UFC want me back for sure. It's they just have a roster that's inflated at the minute. That I think the Contender Series doesn't help anything in terms of European guys getting in, and they've been very open with it. I genuinely know right now that if a pullout happens, that I'll be on their list. So like it's hard because on one way I'm preparing to defend the title, of course. But I do believe that there might be a chance that I might have already fought my last Cage Warriors fight. How that goes, I don't mind. Again, I've got the mindset that I can prepare for 2 to 3 to 4 fights at once. So let's see what happens. But a great conversation. I know they want me. I know I will be there anyway. And when you know that, it doesn't really matter how you get there.
100%. Like you mentioned, one of the ways to get there is the Dana White Contender Series. Is that something that would be on your radar, or do you just want to go straight in?
I'm not sure if I can do that because I've already had a contract.
Oh yeah, that's
But
right.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, if so, like, if there's any fighter that's perfect for the Contender Series, surely it's me. 12 wins, 12 finishes. It's pretty simple. If I win, I finish. Like my losses have only been to like guys with titles or guys in the UFC. So, um, like, yeah, I think the Contender Series would be perfect. I'm just not sure if I'd be eligible for it.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point actually, and I never thought of it that way. So no, it'll be interesting to see one way or another. Let's talk a little bit back to Cage Warriors. Cage Warriors 146. we had judo Jimmy Wallhead and Matthias Figlak go up for the interim welterweight title. What did you think of that fight? What was your thoughts before the fight and how the fight went down, and your thoughts now after the fight?
Yeah, well, I had a chat with Cage Warriors about obviously the interim title. Obviously, they knew I was injured. They asked when I wanted to defend, and at the time, New Year's Eve. So I was confused at why they were doing the interim title. If I'm being totally honest, I was a bit confused because there was me hoping to defend New Year's Eve, and I wouldn't have imagined one of them was going to do a quick turnaround. Regardless, even how clean the fight went, I know Jimmy has a lot of stuff on with his gym and stuff, so I can't imagine he would have jumped in for New Year's Eve. Um, so I was a bit surprised with the timing of that, and I questioned them on that at the time. But like the division has to move, I suppose, and if I'm injured, although it only feels like I only won the title last month, the division has to move. So I had no hard feelings. Plus, at that time, we're still on the quest for the UFC. We're still waiting for that. So I don't really care about stuff like that, to be honest. And like it is what it is. I don't really care. Like I'll beat whoever's put in front of me, and I'll keep fighting in front of whoever is in front of me. So yeah, I'm happy for them guys that they got their opportunity, they got their night. Jimmy got his fantastic win. I haven't seen the fight, if I'm being totally honest. I've seen the finish. I tend just to watch fights on Twitter, like the quick finishes.
Yeah, I get you.
Like it was good. Jimmy Wallhead.
It's been quite the turnaround for Jimmy. Like he's been around for a long, long time, and I have to say it was great to see him get that opportunity. And he was very emotional after the fight. He'd been through a lot. He did say one thing. He says he wants to unify the titles, and he's definitely has an interest in that. Obviously enough. Do you think that you're going to be the guy that he'll unify against? Do you think, or do you see yourself maybe vacating? Where do you see yourself next, Rhys?
I mean, as of here now, I'm preparing to defend. If Jimmy's to unify, I would want it to be against me. I would hate to see anybody else get what probably could be his final fight. It would be an honor for me to do that, to spoil the party, so to speak. That would be an honor for me. Jimmy Wallhead needs no introduction. Like he's fantastic what he's done. I'm happy for him, genuinely happy for him. I know we had a quick chat. I seen one of his videos calling me out one time. I sent him a message just letting you know I'm injured, but I'm sure we can do it. Like I just don't want anybody thinking that I'm not willing the game, because I am. So yeah, I'd be hoping if he's to unify, then it would need to be against me. The whole interim status, and I'm not going to start here and go I'm the real champ and all that carry on because it's nonsense. The fact that Jimmy wants to unify, he knows the deal. But we're both champions. We've both cut our teeth. He's cut his teeth a bit longer than me, but he's fantastic, and what he's done is admirable.
Are you still looking to try and get on that New Year's Eve card one way or another, whether it's Jimmy standing ahead of you, across the way from you, or somebody else?
Yeah, as of now, I don't believe so. Thursday evening, as in 2 days ago, was my first grappling session, like live grappling. I've been doing drilling and stuff, but it's been minimal. I've been doing a lot of striking, a lot of stuff what I can, but I'm only into live wrestling and grappling now. So, how many New Year's Eve isn't far away. So I would imagine not. I'd imagine we're going to look at that Dublin card in the new year.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty good. All right, so there'll be plenty of turkey eaten this Christmas for Rhys McKee. Then, if you're not fighting on New Year's Eve, which is good for you, I guess. That's what the next question I was going to ask you. Yeah, you must have eyes. Graham Boylan said last week, the Dublin card is set to take place early 2023. That's what you're eyeing up for your next fight.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't had the chance to have 2 fights in a row in Ireland, like in a long time. I cannot remember when. So what would I would expect to be another main event, 3 in a row for Cage Warriors. Again, like a real party again, 3 in a row, and then we know what will happen if it doesn't happen first. But yeah, like that's exciting to go to Dublin and hopefully fight a legend and Jimmy, and yeah, it'd be fantastic.
I mean, you know, yeah, Dublin is the rumored venue. Any rumored kind of time frame that you heard from Cage Warriors?
Yeah, that's the one part I can't get because I'm trying to book a hotel.
Yeah, you and me both, man. Because I'm hoping it's going to align with a trip for me back home, so I might be able to go
Trying to
and see
book
that show live. It'd be ideal.
just to see everybody else gets them.
Indeed, because the hotels, they are damn expensive at the minute. Thanks very much for your time. Before I let you go, I'd love to kind of pick your brain about your training partner, Paul Hughes. Phenomenal performance against Jordan Fusenik. Just a fantastic story for Paul all around. You know, you've been right up close and personal with his whole story, and you know, we can talk about the injuries of the past, the hand injuries, and everything that he's had to come back from. You know, one thing that really stands out to me, and something that I said on the Out Triangle was, you know, how difficult it must have been for him to miss out on that Cage Warriors Belfast card, and for him to get the chance to be on that card and put on a performance like we seen in London a couple of weeks ago. But you must have been so happy to see him get his time in the sun, put on a performance like that, and surely Rhys McKee and Paul Hughes have got to be going to the UFC in 2023.
Yeah, like Paul, just like anybody that knows Paul, like Paul is just like he's been like since I've known Paul 8 years ago, like he's always talked the same, he's always walked the same. He's so consistent with what he does, and he's always had the big vision. And but it's never been like Paul's not a guy that says this stuff and you're like, oh, he's full of nonsense. Like you believe him, and now to see it all and getting the chances. And as for missing the Belfast show and the injuries, and it's just a testament to Paul. Like Paul's one of them people that the harder it is, the better it will be for him. You know, a real freak with his mindset. Like you know just he's all in. Like he's such a good guy. I watched it here in my living room, and I was standing and sitting and shadowboxing and wrestling, and like it's a roller coaster when teammates fight. But you know, couldn't have been any happier for him. Could not have been happier. And as for us being in the UFC in 23, like absolutely. I hope Paul gets it now. Like you know, we're the type of teammates where we're not the type of one where if he get in, I'd be like, oh no, like you
Yeah,
know,
of course, yeah.
we're both going this year for sure. You know, and if I get in first, I'll be singing his name, and I'm sure it'd be vice versa. So, yeah, massive year for us too. But you know, I mean, worst case scenario, what we both defend in Dublin and then go in the same night, like that wouldn't even be the worst plan ever.
Oh Jesus! Now that's what I'm talking about. That would be really special. My goodness, you're after getting you're after giving me goosebumps even thinking of that. That would be phenomenal to see. It was a great story for Paul. And look, I'm glad you're on the road to recovery yourself, Rhys. I'm looking forward to seeing you getting back in there again. Whether it be in the yellow gloves, whether it be in the black UFC gloves, I'm sure maybe we'll see one or the other, or maybe both next year. Who knows? But I'm sure you're planning a big and a busy, like you said, 2023. Is there any messages, anything that you want to say to anybody?
I mean, it's no, I'm really excited to get back and compete. It's you know, last year I had one fight. It's the first time in my career I've had, you know, a big injury. So that's been a challenge that I'm glad I've kind of had. You know, so next year you're going to see an active. You know, if it is Jimmy, it'll be exciting. If it's someone else, it'll be even more exciting. At anytime Rhys McKee fights, it's going to be exciting. So, yeah, regardless, it'll be a good year.
100%. Well, thanks so much, Rhys, for taking the time. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the year. Congratulations once again, getting married. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful New Year. We'll keep an eye out for any news regarding your next fight, and hopefully we can talk before that again.
Perfect, Ian. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching this video on SevereMMA.com. For more wonderful content, please click the like, subscribe, and notification bell, and follow us on these social medias.